Okay, good morning, Rebbe. Let's see. Let's come over. Let's start again on this Kuf Tzadi Bet. This is actually really important stuff that we see in the Rishash and the other places. On page Kuf Tzadi Bet. So at the top it says, we're just going to read the top just to get a running start. So when you say the word Baruch, you say Hine B'Tefillas Yotzer ad Gol Yisrael Halino as a Malchus ad Heichel Kodesh Kadosh and Debria. So it's all the way up at the Malchus. He says, let me see, Halino as a Malchus. He's talking about the Malchus that, of a seer. And it's really just a dot, which has 10 parts to it. Parts, but it's still not a system. Which is a really go make yourself small. Now she had said, how could two kings use one crown? So that is a mysterious kind of phrase, because what results of it is her falling into bia. So here we say ki besod l'chi ma'ata etz atzmech, make yourself smaller. Maybe he yos in his parts. If and this all happens while she's, and I guess the situation is she won't be a parts of. She'll just have parts of her of up above. So he's, even though that she's only a dot, even so she doesn't have a parts of. Even so, she's still missing out of that dot her das, and the das he says here is avkal kanoida. He changes it slightly. So therefore, our desire, our kavanah, when we say the word baruch, is to remember that what we're doing is we're putting the das into the nakuda. So this is his kavanah. Ki de barberchan, there is bab nakuda zu, because there's so many brachos that came into this dot. Because she's now has everything that's down below has come up into her. And because she's loaded, therefore she's called Baruch. But we're talking really just as her as a dot. So therefore there's a remez over here in the word Baruch. Ali Yisod is there onpin to the Yisod is there onpin and Nikra Baruch, which is also called Baruch. The Vishayared Beribuya, the Birkon, the Eloyan, because once again it's filled up with the brachas that come from up above. So that Baruch, it puts the aspect of Das into her Nakuda. Which is the name Havaya. Now he's a Gematria Ko. Just read that again. He said up above, he says that the Bechinas of Das are Avkal. Over here he said Bechinas of Das itself, Hu Shem Havaya. Shehu Begematria Ko, which is the Gematria 26. Over Ribua Pasha, so you take that, you make it into Rivua Shehu Begematria Av. Now, I think it's significant why we have a picture of it down in number Gimel, down at the bottom of this page, of why it is that, so you have Havaya. Havaya normally represents Olam Yitzira, or the aspect of Zeranpin, and then you're making a 72 out of its ma by combining it with the name Havaya and 45, or you're making that into a sort of a 72. It's a 71, but Wizard of the Kolo makes a 72, and then you make the rivua of the same thing. So you're moving through the middle line. I guess the concept of vav, of the vav over here. But at any rate, let's go on. So he says, go back up above, he said, Gematria Ku. So he says, that's what really, I guess, he says, that's what Das is. Das is a Ku. So we take a Revua of the Pasha, and that comes out to be Av, but we see how we spell that. The Revua comes out to be, it comes out to be, you have to add a Vaya onto it. Let's see, Revua, that's the Revua of Av. So first is Av, and then it's Revua. So he shows it Yud Good, Yud Vav Daled, K Aleph, etc. So Yud K Aleph K is the Bigamatria cow, and this comes out to the number cow. Asher Shlosha Bechinos Elul, because these, now we say these three Bechinos, Heim Hadas Sheba, they represent her das. Now originally he said these things. It was Av cow, that's das. Then he said, but actually das is also, I don't know if he says also, but he says it's ku. So we have ku av cow. V'hem b'gematria b'minyan baruch. So this comes to gematria baruch shehem ko av cow. Now we're going to go down to number Yud Daled in the Tiv and take a look at that. And let's see what it says. He says, Koach hakaf beif asban sheyesh b'yisod kenoda. So what happens now, after we've said the word Baruch, now we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to implant within her, in the Yisod, the 22 letters that have piled into the Yisod. So now she received the das from the Yisod as her anpin. Something else is going to happen now. So now we see that this is the sequence. Parts of Shalom. So in order to be able to do this, let's see, he says once again, he says you need the 22 letters in order to make her into a parza. So here we see, so over and over again, the concept of how everything is built out of combinations of letters. Parts of Shalom, she could be a complete parts of them. Called parts of whose sod kaf base osius, because every parts of is the secret of the 22 letters. So this seems to be very significant. Atah, that you can learn this from the word atah itself, which is the second word. So the second word is what's happening now, that we're making her into a parts of. Tevis atah, which is S, which is the aleph to the taf, to the hey, to hey, which represents malchus. Yehi sod oz hey tato, and them shachim ba kaf beis ozis sheyesh min aleph v'ad tav shehem at. So the at part of the word atah. So now we have two words. We have the word baruch implants into the nekuda, the concept of das into the nukva, and now on the word atah is going to be planting 22 letters inside of the nukva osias shamalchu mekabela maroma b'tevis atah. He osias as the s part or at part of the word atah meremezes al kaf beis asfon shemaschile ba'os aleph u'mistayme ba'os taf. So that's just the concept of the 22. That's what the at means. V'os hey, of course, meramez the malchus, which is a letter for malchus, shegeneged hey achrona sheb'shem havaya. This is v'gam tekavin ba'os hey shel ata. So, okay, we're going to have a little break. Hashem Yisbarach should help us to understand and remember this. We should be zeicha to that, to be able to see it. It's a tremendous, tremendous gift. And thank Hashem for that. Okay, going back on here, he says, "V'gam dekavid ba'os hey shel ata," we're number Yud Zayin, el chamesh osios mansepach hakafulos, because first you had the 22 letters, but the hey also means that coming into it, these 5 sweetened dinim, which are called mansepach. Which are the 5 extra letters, making 27 coming in. Od kavana yesh ba'os hey shel ata, keneged the chamesh osios hakafulos, which are mansepach. So he says, "Shagam heim yordos the malchus v'ayin shefa." So he says, wants to say that too. The shefa's got something in here, but I'm not going there. So according to the Re, then he says, at this kavana on the streaming of the shefa, the yod remember potatoes to tefillah. So we're showing that in all of the different words there are different kavanas that you could see what's going on there. Hashem, though now we come to the name Hashem. So now we're getting the Boruch Atah, so we now Atah, and what's happening is that we're pouring in the 22 letters plus the 5 letters of the Mansapach. So now they're all poured in there, and this is the formula, or the juice, I guess, the energy, that's required to be able to make this dot into a partzif as it goes into Atzilus. So he said, Hashem, so then the name Hashem, you say that it's in God's name. This is what you say there. Now Malchus, the Nakuda of Malchus is going to go up. At Achshav Anskach B'choredis Hashefa Mechatzila the Bria. So the first is what we're talking about as it going down from Atzilas the Bria. And how does this happen? The Yisod that's in Atzilas, Hayored the So Heichul Koda Gadashin, the Bria goes down into the very top level of the lower world, which is Bria. Hashpia Shefa Hadas, in order to pour in the Shefa the Das, the 22 letters, and the Manzapak, which he didn't mention here, the Malchus. So this, to understand this is what's happening, or you're actually implanting this when you're doing the first Kriya, when you do the first V'zera, so the Kriya, this is the concept of bowing down, which we do at the beginning of the davening. Because we, the Jewish people, so we're actually taking the place, so to speak, of Zer Anpin. The Zer Anpin, Koifif Kamasim B'chatzilus. At this point, when we're saying the word Hashem, well, actually, when we know from the Rishash that when you say the Baruch Atah, you're doing the going down. So he says that what Zer Anpin does is that Kofis Kamal, so he bends himself down Mitziluso, or from Mitzilus, the Bria into the Bria, the Hashpil, the Malchus, Hanimsa Sham, in order to pour in and stream into her what we had just said, the 22 letters plus the 5, so on and so forth. But to saying the word Baruch Atah Hashem, that's actually bringing Malchus into Tzilus. And where does she go in Tzilus? She goes to the back of Zer Anpin, corresponding to the place of his chest, and then going downwards. So the place where she was when originally she was born out. So therefore we rise up when we say the name Yud-Kei Vavke, the Remez Aliyazu, and that's to let you know that Zer Anpin went down, picked up or planted within the Nukva all of the things that we were talking about. That's the Kuav Kal for the Das, and then the 22 letters plus the 5 letters of the Mansapach, all being planted into it. We bring it back up into Atzilus now with our rising up. Ad makom bechazed is our anpin ba'achrav makom shoyz sham takitiv Atzilus. So this is where we're at now. She's the place where she originally came out. I'm not sure that I understand that that's where she was. I thought she was at the bottom. But here he's saying that when she originally was born out with zero, and they talked about, is this what he means? Does he mean this is the Pasil Labar that was originally in Artzalusa? He says Artzalusa, when she first came out, and her original position is at his chest, the back of his chest. I don't know. Let's see. Afal Pisha Yeshnam Od Kama Leos, even though that there's many other Leos. Ki Kolim Oilach B'Malchus the Yisod. First she goes up in the Yisod, V'rak Achakach B'Gaz, the Makom Mechaz, and then after that she comes to the place of the chest. Khan also here, Kitzer Devarov, so the Rav really says it short, in a short form. In other words, he says that she goes from this dot up to his chest. Well, he says that's not exactly right. There are different stages in this growth. That ultimately, where she winds up, Tagia the Malchus Adachazin. I'm still back on the idea this is her original place. I'm not sure that I know that or where I ever learned that was her original place. Myri kan b'Hakavanot klalis shall call Hashanah. So I don't want to say this in general about the whole year. Now he says Akbar Rosh Hashanah oidach b'Malchus the same thing happens here. The Malchus goes up to the aspect of Das. V'achakach Yered is the Chaz Sham Nivnis, the parts of Shalom, because that's the place where she becomes a complete parts of Kasher Yavur B'Hemshech HaDrosh, and we're going to get into that as we go on into this drush. Now, it's something very nice here that he's explaining basic things that we need to know in background. Number Kaf. He says, Elokeinu, then the next word is going to be Elokeinu. Ato ane mamshichin koich bezun. Now we're pouring in energy into Zun. K'dei she'al yedei kein yachzer acher kach panim v'panim, so that she would have the energy to be able after that to turn face to face with Zer Anfen v'zechad nirmaz b'milus b'milus kale shall Elokeinu. So this is talking about one part. We're taking apart the word Elokeinu. V'zechad b'kitzur. So this is what it is in short. So briefly. So now the Nuk is in Atzilus. So she went through the process, and we said it Bekitzer, and she winds up at the Chaz of the Zer Anpin. So then there's pours into it an energy. So that after that, so that when you get to the word Ba'ava, that she's going to turn, and she's going to come to his face side. So this, how do we know this? We know this from the letters Kale, the first two letters. Now why? And let's find out more later on. He said, so now if you want, as we go through this drush, that's really where we're going here. We're trying. Whoops, I lost them. I didn't realize that. Okay, so I lost you someplace. I'm on number Kaf Aleph right now. So he said, Yirtzas, if you like this, Ba'orech HaDrash, as we go through this drush, Azeh, this is really where we're going. We want to understand what our Kavanah is supposed to be on Rosh Hashanah, but to feed the chakras, the Vad. But we're only talking about that in terms of chakras. Let's get here a tiv on this. Ad Ata this Parshach Kavanah's Tevas Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu. So we got the Kale part of the Elokeinu, Shebebirchas Avos, which starts at the Birchas Avos, shall call Yemos Hashanah. V'ata maskil levayer as the Kavanah, as the Kavanah on Nosafis for Rosh Hashanah. Now we're going to start talking about additional ideas or additional Kavanahs that are going to be necessary for Rosh Hashanah. Amnam called Zecha b'mayrecha b'tefillah shachris. So all of this is talking about the tefillah in the morning, bilvad. So let's try to remember that shall Yemei Rosh Hashanah, all those days of Rosh Hashanah. But it's not talking about anything else other than that. Okay, so let's see. As we start into number Kaf Bet, I think we'll stop here. If that's the right time, if 6:10 is the right time, I got 6:09, and we'll pick up on this. This is Baruch Fleischman. This is the first half of our shiurim today.